this current system, the way that it is when you're applying, it's a tough market and you really need to cut through the noise and stand out, especially when you're making a pivot.
Larry Warren, you teach people how to land interviews and offers without mass applying. And you have this slogan, stand out, not burn out. So, what do you recommend that they do to get results without burnout?
I always want to bring them back to dreaming again. Like being a kid, when we were kids, it was easy to dream and think about the possibilities. And I think as adults, myself included, we get off track. And the longer that we've been looking for a new job, especially in this market, in this system where people are getting ghosted and they're not standing out from all the other applicants, what happens is over time, they drift away from their dream and what they truly want. So when I work with someone, I always bring them back to making a list of the companies, the organizations that they want to be a part of and helping them to dream again. You know, when we were kids, it came so easy and we get adrift. You know, the older we get, it seems. So I always like to remind people like make a list of what you truly want. And that's what I'm going to help you and encourage people to go after, not settling for just any role, any position out there.
I love that you phrased it like that. So it sounds like you are helping people to take an empowered approach to looking for what they want, where they have more power than they realize.
Yeah, when people reframe and they spend some time really digging in and understanding, okay, these are the companies that I really want to work for, or this is the environment, or this is the product or the mission that I want to be a part of. What I generally find is that there's more excitement, there's more enthusiasm, and this becomes the foundation before they're reaching out to someone. It becomes something that they build on top of. So when you are excited about working for a particular company or being a part of a mission, you're willing to sometimes step out of your comfort zone. You can push yourself a little bit further as opposed to seeing a position that's posted online and going and applying. You kind of disappear. But starting from a foundation of what really truly resonates with them, what they truly want, and then we build on top of that and really go after it.
I love that you used excitement, being part of a mission. I can totally see how that's going to help them to show up and stretch way more. You have made multiple pivots in your own life journey and career journey too. You have been a pastor, you've been a tech recruiter, an entrepreneur. You also speak about connecting the dots so that people don't feel like they are starting from scratch. Can you explain a little bit what is it that you mean by connecting the dots in their own story and how that helps them?
This was a challenge for me early on when I made that big pivot. It's a huge pivot when you're in the ministry world. Try to make that move
Mm.
into the corporate world. You're a pastor. I was an associate pastor. It's your life. It's your everything. And I made lots of mistakes and stumbled and it was a challenge. When I talk about connecting the dots, you have to do that especially when you're making a pivot and you're changing industries. You have to connect the dots for the hiring manager. You have some skills in one particular area. For me, as a pastor, I had skills that I didn't know that I had at the time that transferred into recruiting. So I encourage people to understand what are their skills in the industry or the position that they have. And there's some overlap within the industry that they want to make the pivot into. So it's understanding what those broader skill sets are and how they might be applied in that new pivot that they're looking to make. So that's what I always encourage people to unpack and truly understand.
That's so interesting. And I find that a lot of women, especially women who have taken a career break, highly educated, accomplished, they have the skills, the talent, and sometimes it's a long break of multiple years. And for that subset of people, how do you suggest they go about connecting the dots when they've been perhaps, in childcare or maybe taking care of an elder in the family or that kind of caregiving duties that are not exactly connected to the professional world? How do they connect the dots? What would you recommend for them?
The first thing I encourage them to do is to shift their mindset. And the tendency sometimes is to think I'm less than, I'm behind because I've been out of the marketplace for so long. And I remind them the skill and the value that you offer today
Mhm.
is the same, if not greater than the skill that you had 2, 3, 4 years ago when you left the marketplace. You added value to your previous companies. None of that has changed. You're the exact same person. So it's first shifting your mindset and understanding, you know what? I do have value to offer my next organization. And so it starts with you first and trying to connect the dots. If you can tell a story, like, what have you been up to in the last 4 years? Like, I've been, doing whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you can reframe that and speak about it confidently, if you took care of a loved one, if you had children and you cared for them, that's fantastic. I mean, that's one of the hardest jobs I think in the world is being a mom, being a dad and caring for loved ones. Or maybe you got some certifications. I have someone that I'm working with now that is experienced that exact same thing. And so helped her frame it so that she can speak about it confidently and being okay. There are some companies that won't accept or like the answer that you give to them, that it's time to move on. There are other organizations out there for you that will see the value that you offer and won't care about that gap.
Oh, I love that. When someone's building a life that they love, typically there's also the other side, which is the fear that can, push them to take an opportunity or a job that may not necessarily be of the highest standard that they could aspire for. And you talk about coming from the position of raising your standards when you are searching. It could be a job, it could be any other opportunity in life. What is your advice to someone? How would they find out if they are being strategic about it and taking an opportunity that would actually help them? Or is it that perhaps they are abandoning their standards?
Life is so short. Do we want to work in a job or do a thing that is going to be a grind and we're not going to enjoy it over time? No, certainly not. And so I would say if someone is in the middle of it, they've been a few months looking for a new position or starting a new venture, a new business, I would encourage them to understand what it is that lights them up, that gets them excited or up in the morning, to do that thing. And I would try to do as much of that as possible. And I realize it can be hard to do every single task that's going to get us excited or light us up. But bringing it back to the things that are important to you, like maybe for you, working a job to provide for your family, maybe that's your mission, and there is nothing wrong with that. I would say that's fantastic. And so if that allows you to spend more time with your family or to go on trips or to give you the money and the resources to spend more time with them, that's great. But understanding what excites you, what lights you up, what that mission is that you have in your life, whether, you're in a new job or you're going to
Mhm.
land a new job or launch a new career, that's what I would always encourage someone to go after those things.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. I see it as you connecting these choices to the meaning that people have in their lives, their values, and what brings them meaning. So, out of everything that you have done in your life, what is one crazy, fantastic dream that you've achieved?
Yeah, there's a few, honestly. I'm going to give more than one. There are some things that I'm proud of. I would say more on the personal sense. Finding the love of my life in my late 40s was a crazy thing, but very, very proud of that. I feel very fortunate and lucky. Wish it had happened early on in life, but I had things to learn and grow and had to get to that place. And then adopting my son in 2010 from Haiti, it was an incredible journey of bringing him home and just an amazing story. And then I would say professionally making the pivot from being a pastor into a recruiter and now a career coach and reinventing myself. I learned a lot and I enjoy helping others make those big pivots as well and helping them understand the value that they can offer and truly going after what they want. This current system, the way that it is when you're applying, it's a tough market and you really need to cut through the noise and stand out. And I love helping people do that. I'm looked at as a career coach where I help people get interviews and job offers. But I think what I really offer instead, deep down, is hope and confidence because those
Mhm.
are the two things. You can give someone hope through going after what they truly want and confidence when you start getting interviews and you get job offers and you're reminded, I do have value to offer.
I love that. These are the things that keep us steady, the hope that there are better times and things are always going to keep getting better, and confidence that we are enough and we got this. So, what would you love to be known for, Larry? What is your mission really?
Yeah, if I had to summarize it, I would say those two words, hope and confidence. I love to encourage. I love when I can come along and encourage someone that's maybe struggling. I'm always amazed when I see a resume and I see the value that someone has to offer, and then I talk with them and they're struggling because the current system has really chewed up their confidence. And when I can remind them of their value and instill a little bit of confidence and hope in them, that lights me up more than anything. Hearing them say, "Hey, I've got an interview or I've got job offers that are coming along," that hope and confidence has been restored. And I would say that's what I would love to be known for.
I love that. You are in the mission of restoring hope and confidence in people. I love your
Absolutely.
mission. And with that, thank you, Larry. It was great talking to you. I love every part of what you shared today.
Awesome. Thank you.